Evening, everyone. It's great to see everybody in boxes and see all the smiling faces. We actually have a lot of young smiling faces. So this is a very nice way to start off our meeting. So this is the board meeting for the San Dieguito Water District, and it is May 25th and just after 5 p.m. So I'm going to call this meeting to order and ask that our board clerk do a roll call for us.
Great. Board member Hensey?
Here.
Board member Kranz?
Here.
Board member Lines?
Here.
Vice President Blakespear?
Here.
And President Mosca?
I'm here.
Record will show that all members of the board are present. And please note that San Dieguito Water District board members receive an independent stipend of $100 for convening water district meetings pursuant to San Dieguito Water District Resolution number 89-07.
All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I've noticed that some of us say it faster and others say it slower. So I try to keep a nice tempo, but I think my East Coast roots come out when I kind of start saying it really fast. I think we say it culturally, maybe it's a little bit faster the way we say it before. But anyways, we have one special presentation, and I assume that's why all the young smiling faces are with us today. Special presentation, and that is a presentation of the North County Water Agency's Water Awareness Poster Contest winners. And we have 3 of them, I believe, with us. Did you want me to just start to, all right, so we're gonna share some of the artwork that we've received. All right, let me just say a few words about the contest, and then we'll introduce our winners who are here with us tonight. San Dieguito Water District partners with the North County Water Agencies to host the annual Water Awareness Poster Contest. The contest is open to all 4th graders residing and attending schools within the district boundaries. The contest serves as an opportunity for students to exercise their creativity and promote water awareness. This year's theme is Love Water, Save Water. Winners of the contest will be featured in the 2023 North County Water Agency's Water Awareness Calendar and will receive a certificate of recognition, a gift card, and a tote bag with some prizes from the board. And it's noted that they were delivered before. So you guys already have these prizes. And so hopefully that you guys are enjoying that. There were many great entries this year. The district staff and the city employees of the Public Works building had the tough task of choosing 3 winners, and we have the 3 winners with us tonight. And so I'm going to recognize you in that order. The 3rd place winner is Axel Gates from Ada Harris Elementary. And you can see the artwork from Axel Gates right up on the screen now. Axel's poster shows a sea creature. He states, "I love water because water is life. Without fresh, clean water, we wouldn't be living." Axel received a certificate of recognition for his artwork, a Target gift card in the amount of $50, and a tote bag with some prizes. Congratulations, Axel. I guess we can applaud if we want to. This year's 2nd place winner is Natalie Marley from Ada Harris, another Ada Harris student winner. Natalie's poster shows Earth with water-related features, and she states, "We use water every day. We drink it, we shower with it, and water parks use it. I think I should show how I appreciate water." And this is how her depiction of appreciating water. Natalie received a certificate of recognition, a Target gift card in the amount of $75, and a tote bag with some prizes. Thank you, Natalie. And we're clapping for you. Thank you so much. This is great. Very nice poster. The 1st place winner is Livia Lynn Rice, and she's also at Ada Harris Elementary. So all of our winners today are from Ada Harris Elementary School. Livia's poster shows drought-resilient plants, a shower, a sea life, and water distribution system. Livia states, "Well, water keeps us alive and it gives us life and the beauty of animals and plants. Sometimes when I get really thirsty, I realize how much I rely on it." Yes, absolutely. Livia received a certificate of recognition, a Target gift card in the amount of $100, and a tote bag with some prizes. Livia, thank you so much. Thank you. Did you want to say anything, Livia, or any of the prize, the winners? Did you want to say something, Livia?
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to make this poster.
Well, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. Natalie, did you want to say anything? You don't have to if you don't want to.
I enjoyed participating and making the poster.
Thank you so much. It really does raise awareness. Is Axel with us as well? All right, perfect. Well, please send out our appreciation to Axel for raising awareness. We'd also like to recognize Mrs. Amy Price. She's a teacher at Ada Harris. We should be recognizing Amy because all of the winners are coming from Ada Harris. So her students submitted the most amount of entries and won the top 3 prizes. Mrs. Price will receive a certificate of recognition, a Target gift card for $50, and a tote bag with some prizes. Thank you so much, Mrs. Price. Did you want to say something as well? But you don't have to if you don't want to. Is Mrs. Price with us?
No, I don't think
All right.
I don't think so.
All right, well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. We're really impressed with the creativity and the insight of all of our students that participated. On behalf of the board of directors, I would like to thank all the students and the teachers who participated this year and made this year's contest a huge success. I'd also like to thank the parents who encouraged their students, their children, and supported their participation in today's contest. Congratulations to all of you, and we are very proud that you're representing our city and our water districts. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice night too.
You too. Bye.
Bye. All right. Let's move to oral communications. Board Clerk, do we have any?
So we have one attendee. If you would like to speak during oral communications, if you'd please raise your hand. Okay, Kieran, do you want to move this person to panelist?
Yep, they just have to accept. It should pop up on the screen.
And this
There it
process,
goes.
just for the board, the process is going to take just a couple of seconds to move everybody and get them able to speak. All right, just make sure you unmute your microphone. You can enable your video, and then you are ready to start speaking. You'll have 3 minutes. Jay.
Okay, I got it. Sorry. I've got so many windows open. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You can start when ready. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, here we go. I would like to speak about the environmental nightmare housing project on Melba Road that is slated to take down a grove of mature Torrey pines, 173 trees, 30 smaller trees and native shrubs, along with demoing three beautiful historical homes built in 1938 or earlier on 6.6 acres for 31 homes, all based on the ill-fated density bonus law, AB 2345. We just received the notice of preparation from the city and the developer. This has only brought anxiety throughout the neighborhood. This anxiety is being felt amongst many longtime tax-paying senior residents who simply want to just age in place. Due to this environmental nightmare housing project, now they are not able to do this. This is not how Encinitas should be treating the elders of the community. These seniors have raised their families and have only contributed positive things to the quality of life in Encinitas. I want to again point out that they simply look out the window and can not feel at peace because the tree line will soon be removed. Brian recently met with the neighbors who will be directly impacted by this environmental nightmare housing project to discuss the boundary trees, only to upset them to point of seeking medical care shortly after the visit. I want to remind you how Scripps dealt with building in the community. multiple meetings with public and planning commission, they taking constructive criticism and making changes based on the community's input. This should just be the gold standard for building in the community. Nothing like this has taken place for this Melba project. With the 3 beautiful historical homes and the beautiful Encinitas redwood tree line, please support the community in designating it historical, as it represents how Encinitas looked in the 30s. And this is not currently present at any location in Encinitas. Please support the community in the historical preservation of this property for open space with soft green infrastructure funding and community funding. Thanks for listening.
All right, thank you so much. Kathy, are there any more speakers?
Let me just double check. I don't believe so. Nope, there are no other speakers.
All right, so we'll move on with our agenda. We didn't have a closed session and there's nothing to report regarding closed session. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's correct, Darkwin. All right, we'll move to, are there any changes to the posted agenda?
No changes to the posted agenda.
All right, we have 5 items on the consent calendar. Any board member wish to pull any item on the consent calendar? If not, then I'll entertain.
Then I just need to check with the public. Chair Lyon, did you want to speak on any item on the consent calendar? Please raise your hand if you did. This is for San Diego Water. Okay, I do not have any speakers for the consent calendar.
All right, so then I'll entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
I'll move approval.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Board Member Krantz seconds the motion from Board Member Hensy. Let's vote.
Board Member Hensy,
Yes.
Board Member Krantz,
Yes.
Board Member Lyons,
Yes.
Vice President Blakespear,
Yes.
and President Mosca.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, that brings us to our action items. 10A is a hearing to consider customer appeal of district denial for a revised water bill for 1153 Crest Drive. This item has been, it's on our agenda, but it's actually been continued to a date certain of June 15th, 2022, which is the next regular meeting of the San Diego Water District. And so we will hear that at our next meeting. So I'll move to 10B, which is a critically important item and something that I've been kind of spending some time on with the County Water Authority and with our staff. And 10B is water supply condition update. And I believe this is either Specialist Han or is it going to be our general manager? Augustine, are you taking this? All right.
I'll be making that presentation. Thank you, President Mosca and members of the board. If you can give me just a second here to get the presentation up. All right, are you guys seeing this okay? Perfect, great. Yes, so the water supply condition update. Before we get started, I'll just mention that the agenda report that you received was prepared well in advance of this meeting, and we've had a lot of activity in regards to this subject. So there have been some changes. We've tried our best to capture all those changes in the presentation. So just thought I'd give you a heads up there. All right, just to cover the background here a little bit, this is all information that we've covered in past meetings. But we'll go over them briefly here. Just in reference to the hydrology in California, we are in the 3rd consecutive dry year. The start to this calendar year has been the driest on record so far. And in reference to imported water supply, the Bureau of Reclamation has declared its first ever shortage for Lake Mead. And also the Department of Water Resources has announced its estimate of the state water project allocations at 5% of requested supplies. As far as state actions go, the governor proclaimed a statewide drought emergency on October 19th, and the State Water Resources Control Board adopted a resolution which prohibited certain wasteful water use practices on January 4th. In order to comply, the district declared a water shortage level 1 on October 20th. And then moving on to the new developments, Governor Newsom issued Executive Order N7-22 on March 28th of this year. The executive order asked Californians to strive to use water more efficiently indoors and out. He also directed the State Water Resources Control Board to consider and adopt emergency regulations by today. And so the state board met yesterday to adopt the emergency regulation text. A summary of the key provisions include that water suppliers must submit a preliminary annual water supply demand assessment to DWR by June 1st. Also, each urban water supplier to implement at minimum the demand reduction actions identified in their water shortage contingency plan for a shortage level of 10 to 20% by June 10th. Also, the emergency regulation text prohibits the use of potable water for irrigating non-functional turf at commercial, industrial, and institutional sites, with some exemptions for the health of trees, perennial non-turf plantings, and low water use turf. A little bit about these regulations as a whole. It does not require activation of level 2. It does not require an actual reduction of 20%. Does not specify the degree to which implementation occurs, does not require suppliers to enforce regulations. Rather, it is requiring that water districts implement the demand reduction actions associated with the 10 to 20%. The emergency drought regulations, now passed by the state board, heads to the Office of Administrative Law for review. We are anticipating that they'll give the sign off by June 6th, where that regulation will go into place, and then we will all have to comply by June 10th. A little bit about the water shortage contingency plan. It was adopted in May of last year with the urban water management plan. This plan, the shortage contingency plan, is comprised of 6 stages that add up to that establish supply reductions from 10 up to 50%. Within each level, there are demand reduction actions and also supply augmentation actions to address shortages. The intent with this plan is to provide a suite of locally appropriate actions for the supplier. To cover the differences between level 2 and level 1, the voluntary actions in level 1 become mandatory in level 2. In addition to the demand reduction actions in level 1, level 2 also limits landscape irrigation to 3 assigned days per week. It limits lawn watering to no more than 10 minutes per assigned day. It also regulates, it says that, it prohibits the use of ornamental fountains unless using recycled or recirculated water. And customers are also required to fix leaks within 72 hours of notification, as opposed to the 5 days that we have in level 1. So this effort in how to have a regional plan to comply with this has required a lot of regional coordination. The general manager, Issam, attended San Diego County Water Authority's member agency managers meeting this morning. The San Diego County Water Authority shared that they intend to stay at level 1 and implement the demand reduction actions in level 2. You can see on the graphic on the right how they display that. And then the San Diego Water District and Olivenhain Municipal Water District staff have been closely coordinating on best approaches. I know Issam's been in touch with Kim. Myself have been in touch with the conservation staff over there. And also that some agencies in San Diego County have already declared level 2, and some have shared that they intend to stay at level 1. Another side note I'll share is that the governor has indicated that he will re-examine conservation efforts in 2 months. There was also a warning that if significant reductions are not met, the state could be forced to enact mandatory restrictions. So moving to the staff recommendation, the recommendation is that the board grant the general manager the discretionary authority to declare a water shortage level 2 or implement the demand reduction actions for a shortage level of 10 to 20% depending on the emergency regulations to be adopted by the state board as directed in the executive order and in coordination with the San Diego County Water Authority. And also for a discussion on the appropriate action to be taken. I've laid out a little timeline here of why we are asking for this flexibility for the GM to take appropriate actions if the situation changes. This flexibility will allow for the GM and staff to continue coordinating with the County Water Authority and our neighboring agencies for consistency on best approaches. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
All right. Any questions for Augustine or for our general manager? Looks like I'm not sure who put their hand up first, but I'm going to call on Board Member Hensy.
Thank you. Would you mind going back to that last slide real quick? Okay, so my question is about when we do institute these new restrictions, we're going to have to enforce them with code enforcement. Is the city of Encinitas going to be the agency to do that with our existing code enforcement officers?
So the way the regulatory text is written, it would be up to the State Water Resources Control Board to regulate these issues or enforce these issues.
So they'll be watching us to make sure that we're complying with the 72-hour notification of a leak and turning it off. And so it's more that we're having to absorb a lot of those regulations.
The way that they've shared that they will monitor these regulations is whether the districts are implementing the demand reduction actions associated with that shortage. So our water shortage contingency plan calls out specific actions that need to be taken. And so that is how they are going to assess the level of implementation.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't gotten to the point where there's mandatory cutbacks. So what we're talking about is, well, I suppose if we were talking about going to level 2, our level 2 planning does call for mandatory cutbacks by customers, correct, Isam?
Yes, that is correct. If we go to the level 2, then that will we have mandatory, and then there will be additional enforcement that we have to take into consideration. But at this point in time, we're only just going to be implementing the demand reduction actions that are in level 2.
Right, and that's what so far where the state is at as well.
That is correct. So far, that's where we are at by June 10th. And that's one of the reasons regarding the discretionary authority to the general manager, because the board meetings is once a month, and then in July we don't have one. So we wanted the flexibility to be able to declare whatever action we need to comply by the regulations that comes out. And at the same time, obviously, this is something we'll be sharing with the board before we declare it.
All right, Board Member Lyons.
Thank you. I lean in the direction of recommending that we implement the demand reduction actions as of our action today, but that we give the GM the discretionary authority to declare the water shortage level 2. That's a little bit different wording than I see is suggested in the recommendation. And I was wondering if you could clarify, am I actually saying the same thing, or is really the recommendation just to give the discretion and we do not make the decision to implement the demand reduction actions now?
No, he's gonna put in place demand reduction now, and then so yes. You're essentially saying the same thing.
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
it's just because the staff report was prepared ahead of time, and all of this had just happened during the last 24 hours. And that's why we didn't even know back then what is it they're going to come out of the regulations. So we gave these 2 options, but implementing the demand reduction action is what we need to do right now.
Okay, and just as a matter of clarification too, the demand reduction actions, those include the water application as far as 3 days a week, overhead spray, no more than 10 minutes per cycle. I do want to just make sure that everyone's aware, because a lot of people don't go to this level of detail, but the detail of that requirement states that you can have, now correct me if I'm wrong, because I believe this is true. You can have overhead spray as long as you use specific types of heads that are water conserving. Augustine, is that still true? Or underground drip?
I think it's true. I think it has to do if you're using drip system or something like that. But I have to go back and review the readout. Augustine, do you know exactly what systems are exempt from that?
Well, within the water shortage contingency plan, there are no requirements for changing your irrigation system.
No. But if you have a drip system, I think you might be exempted from that specific 10-minute clause. But we will go back and review it and to ensure that what we have and what we apply.
And it kind of goes back to Director Hinsey's comment about enforcement. Sometimes that gets a little tricky based on some of the components might be okay to use and others not. So it's just, that was a good question. That's all for my comment.
Thank you. Yeah, so I see Vice Chair Blakespear has her hand up, so I'll wait and call on Vice Chair Blakespear, Vice President.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to then clarify what you just said in answer to the question. So it sounds like you're not really fully aware of the policy related to sprinklers. So what is our plan with enforcement around that? Like, how are we going to communicate even out from this board meeting about what we're doing? If we're not totally clear on it, are you exempt from it for 10 minutes if you have a different sprinkler type head and that? It just seems like all that needs to be super clear.
Yeah, thank you for that question and remark. Within our water shortage contingency plan, there are no exceptions on the watering schedule for certain types of irrigation systems. As far as how we're going to be communicating this with our customers, I have a slide here. Yeah, so this kind of covers what our outreach strategy is going to be around this emergency regulation. And so we'll coordinate messaging with our neighboring agencies and the County Water Authority. We'll publish a copy or summary of the regulations in a newspaper within 5 days of declaration. This is actually stated in our admin code if we declare level 2. The bill will also be including bill inserts highlighting the declaration and the conservation incentives. We'll be
sorry to interrupt you. You don't need to read the slide to me. So can you just summarize then like the key points about what we're saying to people that we are planning to enforce?
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of a tricky dance at the moment is how we're going to be out, reaching out to our customers within the service area. You know, I think the thought at the moment is to share the demand reduction actions with all of our customers. And so those are the specific actions like, you know, only water your lawn after 10 p.m. and before 6 a.m. And so we'll call out those specific actions as opposed to saying that we are in level 1, but doing the demand reduction actions associated with level 2, because it is a little murky.
Okay, so basically I think what you're saying is that we're actually not going to be enforcing anything.
We're not. We're just talking about reduction strategies, but we're not enforcing it. We're not asked to enforce it under state law.
Okay.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So Isam, I did have a question in terms of so what happens if we don't give direction to move us, we don't give you the discretion to move us to level 2, because level 2 under our plan means that we go to mandatory water cutbacks, and then that we are actually talking about enforcement at that point. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty important discussion for this board to have.
Augustine, can you go back?
What happens if the governor acts in July and we're in recess?
Yes, and that can you go to the last slide where we are asking for that, Augustine, please.
Which slide was that?
It's the one that has the timeline. All right, so based on this timeline, so we have a meeting, our board meetings are in June 15th, and then the other one is on August 17th, and we don't have anything in July. So for this time around, we're gonna be implementing the demand reduction actions of
Right.
level 2.
Right.
If for one reason or another comes July, which is the 60 days that the governor is talking about, and then it becomes mandatory and he implements the level 2 for everybody as a mandatory 20% reduction, then we will have to go ahead and declare that before our next board meeting, which is on August 17th. And that is the only reason that we are putting that recommendation in there, so that if for one reason or another that happens, then we'll have the luxury of declaring it before our board meeting to meet whatever the requirement is or whatever the mandate is per the governor.
Right, and I ask that question, Isam, not because I don't trust giving the authority to do that. I just think for transparency purposes, we just needed to state what you just stated on the record, that why we would be doing that and giving you that discretion. I think what we have before us is really kind of a compromise on the state level. On the one hand, the state's not seeing the cutbacks that it wants to see, but on the other hand, it's a recognition of the fact that there are multiple counties, including the county of San Diego, that has invested billions of dollars in water resiliency and water supply. And we want to be careful as a state not to penalize those counties, those water districts that have really spent a lot of money, ratepayer money, in ensuring that their system is drought resilient, as it is here in the county of San Diego. So I think that what we're looking at with this kind of demand reduction action is really trying to get greater conservation, although being aware of the fact that we've already had tremendous amounts of conservation in San Diego County and within this district, but trying to get further conservation, but without basically pushing too far, since the fact is that this county has done its part in creating a very resilient system which has supply. And so I think the recommendation that we have before us is a good one. And before I go any further, I wanted to ask the board clerk if we have any public comments on this item.
Let me check with our attendees. So the two attendees, if either one of you wants to speak on this item, would you please raise your hand? Okay, neither one is raising their hand, so we have no public speakers.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to go back around to my fellow board members. Board Member Krantz.
Thank you. I just wanted to say to staff that I appreciate your efforts in coordinating with the San Diego County Water Authority and neighboring agencies. I think it's important that we try and have the same message and follow essentially the same rules as much as possible, especially with OMWD, because our district kind of is adjacent to their district in a big part of our city. So having common rules is going to be important to me.
Yes, thank you. Board Member Lyons.
Thank you. I'd like to compliment our team here, our director and staff, on being proactive on this item. I'd like to move a recommendation, approval of discretionary authority to declare the water shortage level 2 and implement the demand reduction actions for the shortage level of 10 to 20%, as is identified in the recommendations.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second as to that motion?
Second that.
All right, we have a second by Board Member Krantz. Any further discussion? If not, then we will go to vote. Let's vote.
All right, give me one moment here. Board Member Hensy,
Yes.
Board Member Krantz,
Yes.
Board Member Lyons,
Yes.
Vice President Blakespear,
Yes.
and President Mosca.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that item. And we now move on to our only informational item, and this is San Diego Water District's Capital Improvement Program Current Project Overview Informational Report, and Senior Civil Engineer Olson is going to take this item.
Thank you, President Mosca. 1 second here while I pull up my presentation, please. Oh no, I'm having technical difficulties. Sorry about that. 1 second, guys. Here we go. Okay. Can everybody see that okay?
Looks good.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you, President Mosca and members of the board. The item before you tonight is an overview of current projects within the district's capital improvement program. The district's capital improvement program focuses on implementing water system improvements in order to provide reliable and efficient water service to existing and future customers. Utilizing the district's 2022 Water System Master Plan, along with known improvements needed to address existing anomalies, district staff has developed a near-term and long-term capital improvement program. District projects currently in design include pipe and appurtenance replacement projects, projects for the improvement of water quality, and projects to increase service reliability. I will now give a brief overview of the 7 projects that the district has in design. The first project is the Encinitas Valve Replacement Project. This project proposes the removal and replacement of 67 water valves located within 22 intersections of Old Encinitas. Through its valve testing program, district staff has found that some valves within the distribution system have begun to malfunction. Most of the valves are 40 to 50 years old and have reached the end of their useful life. Replacing these aging water valves will help to increase operational efficiencies and decrease customer impacts during shutdowns for both routine maintenance and emergency situations. The second project that we're working on is the air vacuum and blow-off replacement project. This project proposes the removal and replacement of 14 existing appurtenances on the district's 36-inch transmission main throughout Encinitas in Rancho Santa Fe. Through testing and routine maintenance, district staff has found that some of these appurtenances are no longer fully operational. The appurtenances being replaced were originally installed in 1982. Replacing these appurtenances will help to increase operational efficiencies for both routine maintenance and in emergency situations. Currently, if a break were to occur on the transmission main, or if one of these above ground facilities were to be damaged, the not fully functional appurtenances would make it very difficult to shut down the transmission main. Therefore, replacement is essential within the near future. The third project currently in design is the Bellevue Avenue Water Main Extension Project. This project proposes to extend a new water main in Bellevue Avenue from Santa Fe Drive south to M Street. An existing 2-inch plastic water main was originally found not to be within an existing utility easement. In 2021, the district obtained a temporary license agreement with the property owner for the existing main. However, after reviewing the water distribution system, the site conditions, and the remaining asset life, district staff determined that the best alternative was to relocate the water main within the public right-of-way of Bellevue Avenue. The new water main will loop the existing distribution system, thus improving water quality and providing redundancy and reliability to the surrounding neighborhoods. The fourth project in design is very similar. This is the Cambridge Avenue Water Main Extension Project. And this project proposes to extend a new water main in Cambridge Avenue from Norfolk Drive south to Dublin Drive. This project will remove a dead-end water main, thus looping the existing system with existing infrastructure to the north and to the south. The looping of the system will improve water quality, eliminate the need for district staff to flush that dead-end line, and provide redundancy and reliability to the neighborhood. The fourth project we have in design is the Codor Street Pressure Reducing Station project. This proposes to install a new pressure reducing station at the end of Codor Street within an existing district easement. The installation of the station will reduce the need to upsize existing water mains within a lower pressure zone and reduce construction costs throughout. What this will do is it will supplement the lower pressure zone with water from a higher pressure zone during a fire event. This will help the neighborhood, decreasing disturbances due to open trenches and water outages if we had to replace those water mains. The sixth project we have in design is the Orpheus Avenue Pressure Reducing Modification project. This project proposes to add a discharge pipe to an existing underground facility that's on Orpheus Avenue. The modifications to the subsurface station will help alleviate pressure if there was to be a pressure surge in the existing distribution system. These minor modifications will extend the useful life of existing district assets by reducing the likelihood for pressure to build up in the pipelines. And the final project that's currently in design is the Cardiff Waterline Replacement Project. This project proposes the replacement of over 4,000 linear feet of water main located within 4 various alleys in Cardiff. Within the district's 2022 Water System Master Plan, an asset management study was performed using a data-driven approach to evaluate asset conditions. Based on this condition assessment study, 4 segments of water mains within Cardiff were identified as reaching the end of their useful life. Water mains being replaced were originally installed in the 1950s and 1960s. By replacing these segments of water mains now, it will allow the district to maintain desired levels of service, thus reducing the possibility of unanticipated mainline failures. Staff recommendations is acceptance of the district's report for the capital improvement program, and then staff is available for any questions that you may have.
Well, thank you so much for that presentation and walking us through our CIP for the Water District. I see Vice President Blake Spear's hand up, so I'm going to call on her.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that we're doing these things proactively. You know, I see in the city of San Diego when there are these major water line breaks and the damage and the disruption and just, you know, letting things fall so far into disrepair, something that I hope we're able to keep on top of. I know our infrastructure needs are great. And so having redundancies and you know, it's important that we do that for our residents. So I thank you for taking a proactive approach, and I completely support this. Thank you.
Board Member Lyons?
Thank you. I was curious if, and I would assume that we would be kind of gaining some efficiencies in our water distribution when we replace these. And I was wondering if you could comment on that, maybe not specifically to a specific project, but if you can kind of give some brief insights into how this improves the efficiency of the system.
Definitely. So there's various improvements that will be taking place to help the system. Not only will be looping systems in order to increase redundancy to neighborhoods. So hopefully if there was, for some reason, we had to shut down lines, there would be other directions the water could flow to serve those neighborhoods so they wouldn't be cut off. Replacing valves, it's very much the same thing. So if for some reason we had to do routine maintenance or we had an emergency, we could limit the amount of customers that would be affected by it because we'd have working infrastructure in various intersections. The main thing we're striving to do is just provide reliable water to customers for the most part as often as possible. We want to try to limit unanticipated shutdowns if we were to have an unanticipated break. That's why we're trying to be proactive and do these condition assessments to try to limit the impact to our customers for the daily maintenance and operations that it takes place for our system to maintain the integrity that it has.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for staff? Yeah, I agree with the comments that have been stated so far. I think it's important and our customers expect that they are going to have a safe, reliable, affordable water supply. And it's on us to make sure that we're putting together a capital improvement program every year that really does maintain this system and in the way that folks have come to expect. And also, you know, consistent with the fact that we're 100 years this year, and all of the stuff that our forefathers and people that have come before us that sat in these seats have done, we owe it to them to make sure that we're keeping the system up. And I think what we've heard is that we are keeping the system up. So thank you to staff. I see Board Member Lyons' hand back up. So I'm going to call on you again if
Yes.
if you're looking to speak.
Yes, quickly. Some of these projects are already being scheduled and active, correct?
Correct. They're all throughout various phases. Some are near the end where we're going to be getting ready to go out to bid. One of them will actually take before the board next month for authorization. And others are just starting the planning phases where we're actually working very closely with the city to get the project entitlements to move forward.
Great, thank you. I'd like to move acceptance of this informational report.
All right. Well, I think it's a receive and file. So we'll note your enthusiasm for this item. And we will we'll receive and file this item.
And then President Mosk, I'm just going to check with our two attendees to make sure that neither one wants to speak on this. If either attendee wants to speak on this item, would you please raise your hand? Okay, does not look like either wants to speak. So we have no public comments on this item.
Thank you. So we have a couple items left. Board member reports pursuant to AB 1234. Are there any members of the board that would like to make a report? Board member Lyons, is your hand back up? Or
yes, it is.
Right, sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I just didn't know if it had gone up.
I don't know if this is the right place to make this report. It's not so much a report as I'd like to just state an interest in exploring more ways of conserving water in the future. And so I just wanted to let my fellow members and you know that we are looking at ways of improving our conservation efforts. And I'll be putting forward initiated agenda item for this in the near future.
Well, this is a very timely discussion, so I'm happy that you're doing that with everything that's going on with the drought and some of the regulations that are coming down. This is a really good time to be talking about conservation, what we've done in the past and what we could be doing in the future. So thank you. Any other reports? All right, we'll move to General Manager Update Report.
Thank you, President Mosca and members of the board. I had one item, which is the Lake Hodges Dam update. As you know, the city of San Diego is in the process of having an emergency project in order to repair the upstream of the dam in regards to the spalling and cracking of the concrete. And they have been coordinating with the County Water Authority and the districts in regards to that. CWA started lowering the level in Lake Hodges on, I think, May 19th. And they're doing that at the rate of 550 acre-foot per day. So it's anticipated that they will reach the level of 280 by this weekend, after which we are coordinating as districts with the city of San Diego to lower the elevation to 275. And obviously we need to take into consideration the water quality issues that comes with the water and try to treat it at the Badger plant. And that is expected to take 30 days for us to actually lower the elevation from 280 feet to 275. currently there is no water for the district. We have taken every single drop of water that the district had, including the dead storage pool that we had in Lake Hodges. And it's anticipated that the contractor, which has already mobilized, that it will take them 5 months to do the repairs. Just one caution about that is that they have only inspected portions of the dam before they are lowering it. So we don't really know what's going to come out after the lowering of the dam, if there is going to be any additional work that will be needed. After the work is completed, then they were going to start refilling the Lake Hodges with 2 foot a day. And that will most probably should be conducted by October 15th. It's anticipated at this point in time that the cost would be approximately $2 million for this project. Our share of that is approximately 11%. So we are in the $220,000 based on the 2014 agreements. The city has been taking the lead on media releases, and they also have notices for closure of recreation facilities at the Lake Hodges. And with that concludes my update.
Isam, can you follow up with us in terms of if the water quality is good and we do end up taking that water into RE Badger, can you follow up with us in terms, or if you know now, what the cost is going to be to, I mean, we obviously want the water, but what the cost would be to us? I mean, how they're going to discount that water?
Okay.
That's an important discussion for us.
Yes, we have been coordinating that portion with the city, trying to figure out what is the best approach. We, at one point in time, we suggested that we pay MWD's tier 1 costs for the water minus 10%, just because of the different costs that will be associated with that. But the city has issues with that. It will take much longer than usual in order for them to approve something like that. So they're now suggesting that why don't we do a paper transfer? And we are in the currently basically negotiation what the cost is going to be for us if we do that, because there is cost associated with that from our pumping into the Badger plant, and then there is the evaporation part. There's quite a few things that we need to take in consideration to see what 1 acre foot of water will be for us. Is it like going to be 0.8 acre foot or 0.7 if it's going to be a paper transfer? So we are in that discussions right now with the city, and we're hoping that we will reach out an agreement quickly, just because of the fact that we want to be able to start immediately after the County Water Authority starts and finishes its drawdown to the 280 level.
Well, we'll leave it to you. We have great faith that you're going to bargain hard and get us the best deal possible. And I mean, we all have our holding our breath. I know at County Water Authority, I think we're supposed to have we may move the presentation off from the city of San Diego on this item for tomorrow's meeting.
Yes.
I think we have to, we're rushing to get through some of the stuff on the governor's order. But I think I think we're probably going to come June hear more information about the results. And we really, fingers crossed, don't want to find out about the fact that, you know, we lowered the water and there's more damage that we have to fix of that dam. And so fingers crossed that when they lower it, that we don't find that there's more extensive emergency repairs that we have to do. So
that's true. But the goal of everybody is not to release any water into the creek.
Absolutely.
That's especially in these times of drought.
But that's not a good bargaining position, Isam.
Yeah, I know.
Let it go down. I don't care. No, I'm joking. All right. Any questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you very much, Isam. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. And so I'm going to adjourn this meeting until our next meeting, which is June 15th. And then we will start back up at our city council meeting in, I guess what? Well, Mayor Blakespear, it looks like we have 6 more minutes. Did you want to meet at 6?
Yes, definitely. We can all log off and log back in at 6.
All right, perfect. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.